Important work.
Yes, I believe so too. We can get the story out there.
We try our best.
Yeah. Y'all broadcast majors or what's the background?
Like major media communication with larger umbrella for all the broadcast.
Yeah, I was a communication.
I used to be data science, and I took like a 180 communications.
Oh, okay.
How'd you go from production to engineer?
That was, so I didn't have an internship at that point. And the job was posted at the police station in Austin, and JAL was still there. So, summer gig.
End of the hour.
And then they just put it in the agreement. So that we
Yes, please do. Put it out on social media and I will come. See her a lot.
Yeah, we got it. Sorry. No, you're good.
Hell, you're all good.
Yes. Came up on a call and had a heart attack. Okay, that sounds great.
Unfortunately, it takes something like that to survive. But, you know, that happens. It really is. Yeah.
Test, test. Great. Keep going in right over here.
Right over here?
Bring it in, yep.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and welcome to the Benfolk Wind Energy Center. My name is Ryan Long. I'm president of XL, Minnesota, North and South Dakota. We are so thrilled to have you all here. We're so thrilled to have Governor Walz here, Representative Long, Senator Francis, the sponsors of the bill, Chair Sieben, a number of our really critical labor partners who actually make these things happen and put steel in the ground. So we're so excited. Just a quick run through the agenda. I'm going to welcome a few folks up here to say a few words, starting with Governor Walz. and then we'll go through the signing ceremony, and then I believe we're going to go take a look at some wind turbines and get some photos and answer some questions along the way. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Governor Tim Walz.
Well, thank you, President Long, Senator Brent, Representative Long, Chair Sieben, Kevin, and the board members, and all of our partners. This signing is an important one, I think, for a lot of reasons. One, it proves our system still works. Building coalitions around the most challenging problems we have with the best evidence and the best vision to solve those problems. And so last year, when we all stood together, a very similar coalition, to put forward an aggressive push in Minnesota to reduce our carbon emissions and get to zero by 2040. These people were there. XL Energy stood with us on that. We knew that getting there was going to require having the tools, the funding, the partnerships, the public-private partnerships. One of the things was that you're hearing this across the country, modernizing how we permit these projects, how we get that steel in the ground faster, how we make sure we're doing it without cutting any environmental corners or safety corners, but making sure that it's more efficient and gets it done. This is a group that figured out how to do it. I was just mentioning earlier this week, I had a gathering of 8 other governors from across the country that were here, and this was a topic of discussion, this idea that Minnesota was able to move forward on permitting reform and start to move to the front of the line on the money that is here as the country transforms from the Inflation Reduction Act to the infrastructure bill. There's a lot of things involved, and I'll just say the permitting reform around this opens up the possibilities in other areas for us to get efficiency around it. And I will be remiss if I didn't say I just came from the League of Minnesota Cities as their conference in Rochester. Many of those cities being impacted by current flooding. What was on their mind is, as we think about building back, but truly building back better with mitigation, we're going to have a lot of big projects that are going to need to get done as soon as we can and as efficiently as we can. This type of legislation does that. So I just applaud all the folks here who had the vision to make it happen. They tackled a really difficult topic and got it done. And now the best part about this is we're going to see these projects get in the ground. We're going to see them create jobs. We're going to see them create an energy independence for Minnesota. At the same time, we're doing our part to reduce carbon emissions. So just really grateful for President Long and XL's continued commitment to this, and grateful for legislators with vision. And one that, look, I'm a little partial since I've known him longer than anybody else. My former senator, Nick Prince.
Thank you, Governor Walz. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I want to start by echoing my thanks to the fine work of everybody behind you and the dozens and dozens of people who are behind them. Legislators, Representative Long, this is 2 for 2 for us with the 100% bill. Governor Walz, we said we were going to make progress on clean energy. We're going to make it today, and we're going to keep making it. To the men and women who build and operate and maintain these facilities, these are jobs. We're going to make more progress if we have a partnership. That is the public, the producers, the consumers, all working together. We cannot achieve our clean energy goals if we're trying to jam one idea down someone else's throat. I also want to say thanks to the commissioners, to the buy-in, and then finally, thank you to the stakeholders. We're talking about a group that was put together by the Public Utilities Commission. Thank you, Commissioner Sieben and the other commissioners and members of the PUC who said, will you come together and talk about how to do this right? And through a collaborative process where all the voices were heard, and through the legislative process, the committees, those stakeholders stayed engaged, and because of that, we got the best bill for Representative Long and I to send to the governor. And I just want to put a little forward spin out there. We hope to see the same type of progress in other areas of permitting. Minnesota can continue to lead. And I look forward to being a part of those discussions, whether it's PCA, DNR, or anything else. Minnesota expects us to make progress, and to do that, we're going to have to work together. And speaking of working together, very proud to introduce Representative Jamie Long, House Majority Leader.
Thank you so much, Senator Prince. Thank you, Governor Walz. It's great to be with everybody out here today. I don't know Mankato as well as the former 2 speakers, but I do recall that when I was out there a few years ago knocking for my colleague Jeff Rand, I was at one door and asked them what was on their mind at the legislature, and they said, climate change. They said, my house never used to be in a flood zone, and now it is. And thinking about the instances that are happening now with flooding in that community, it really hits home what the impact is on Minnesotans. And Minnesotans experience that, and they're calling on us to act at the Capitol. And in 2023, we passed 100% clean energy. That's a top 5 standard in the entire country that we got done. And in 2024, we had the 100% bill 2.0 because we know that to be able to deploy clean energy, we have to have the infrastructure, we have to have the grid to be able to make that happen. And we also know that 10 years is too long to be able to build our infrastructure. So with the bill that we passed this year, we knocked off 18 months or more from the construction timeline, which is a really big deal. Since we passed this law, I've been looking around the country, seeing if anybody could tell me if there's a better law out there, and I haven't found one yet. So this has been in conversation at the federal level and states across the country, but Minnesota once again is leading the way on clean energy, breaking new ground and making sure that we're going to be at the forefront of creating good jobs here in Minnesota, cleaning up our environment and tackling climate change. So thank you all for being here, and we couldn't have done this without the partnership and the hard work of the Public Utilities Commission, and I'm honored to introduce the chair, Katie Sieben.
It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here today. And on behalf of my 4 colleagues at the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission, we are so thankful and proud of the folks behind me who have worked so hard to get this important piece of legislation done. Being a regulator is not quite as fun as being a legislator. We're an independent regulatory body that makes decisions based on the law that is put in front of us and the rules and the procedures that have come before us and that are existing in Minnesota. And what we knew at the PUC was that it was taking too long to build transmission lines. It was taking too long to build new solar facilities. And it was taking too long to build wind turbines like the ones you see behind us. And so the commission thought we need to do better. We need to streamline our process so that it's easier for the developers and the utilities that need to come to the commission for a deliberative and transparent process to be able to cite the infrastructure that is needed to be able to provide reliable and clean energy for Minnesotans. So really a huge round of thanks go to the legislators, the governor, his staff, the stakeholders, and everyone who really worked tirelessly to make sure that this bill became reality. It wasn't always easy, it wasn't clear cut, but in the end, people are going to be served by more reliable energy in the future, and it will be able to ensure that because of this legislation that passed. And as previous speakers said, really important partners in this are the people that actually build the infrastructure. They knew early on that the commission process was taking too long, and there could be efficiencies that were brought to bear in front of the commission. So again, we could get these important projects done on a more timely basis. And LIUNA and Kevin Pranis and our other partners at Lynn Labor were critical in ensuring that the voices of workers came forward and were represented in this entire bill that passed. So it's an honor to introduce Kevin Pranis from LIUNA.
Thanks, Chair Sieben, and Governor, and everyone here. So my name is Kevin Pranis, and I represent LIUNA, Minnesota, and North Dakota. We represent 14,000 construction laborers and their families across the 2 states who work alongside operating engineers and other skilled trades, building our energy future as well as maintaining current infrastructure. And what I can say, we were very much a part also of the 100% by 2040 legislative effort last year. What we said at that time was that Minnesota might not be the first state to pass a 100% clean energy law, but we would be the first state to get there reliably and affordably because of the strong infrastructure we have, the leadership of our regulators, legislators, and utilities. But this is really the enactment of what we were talking about. We wouldn't get there without this kind of permitting reform. So it's important to understand for our members is policies don't put our members to work. Projects put our members to work. And there's a lot that happens between passing a policy like 100% and having actual projects with permits in hand to start putting steel in the ground. And that's a process that our members participate in, because whether they can put food on their table or not depends on whether that process works well. And so we've been part of more than 50 permitting proceedings in Minnesota and North Dakota over the past 8 or 9 years for energy projects. Those proceedings are great. There's lots of chance for public input. There were also lots of inefficiencies and confusion that we needed to clear up, because we have a real problem. Not only does it take too long to permit a solar and wind project, but several years ago, we ran out of transmission. And that dozens of projects that were in the pipeline ended up being all having to be shelved. And now it's thousands of jobs for people like our members across the state that didn't happen because of those delays and the fact that it takes so long to build transmission. Now we have the green light to build transmission. We need to get those permits done so that our members can go to work. And this bill will allow that to happen. It's critically important. And I particularly want to thank the commission for setting in motion a stakeholder process that brought all different stakeholders, environmental advocates and climate advocates and local government representative and business representative, developers, utilities, all to sort out the problem. It was a fantastic model for what we could probably do in other sectors of our economy where we have challenges meeting our goals, upholding our values, and making it efficient and transparent in the way that we do that. So this is a great effort. This project's been years in the making, and look forward to getting to see what we've been working on all these years. Thanks. And I'll hand it over to Kevin.
Well, we'll sign it, then we'll be glad to take a few questions.
Just gather around, don't be shy. Yay.
Big step for our energy future. All right, so brother, there we go.
Well, again, we'll be glad to take a few questions. Really grateful on this. I think you heard from each of these speakers. This is really encouraging. I think Minnesota should feel encouraged by it. This is a process that takes work. These are folks that chose to make that happen. And Kevin brought up a great point. We passed legislation. That's just the beginning, being able to get those projects, real projects. And I think having the folks who are going to work on these are folks who are going to make sure that no safety corners are cut, and the folks in the environmental community who stand with us. And of course, Xcel Energy, who has to have reliability to their customers and continue to do so. I will make note of this. I was mentioning to President Long how amazing it was when the substation went out at the Rapidan Dam. Xcel Energy, within a few hours, had a temporary substation already down there restoring power to those 600 people who lost it. Pretty amazing work. It's difficult work in the midst of all that, but we're really grateful that it restored so quickly. So well done. With that, any questions for this group that's up here?
Can I ask Mr. Long, can you give us a perspective from leading utility? Like, were you in real danger of not being able to get your goals for 2040 and for this legislation, or were there things just piling up in the pipeline and you could get there earlier now? I mean, just give us a little perspective from the actual utility.
Yeah, thanks for the question. From our perspective, we are today 67% carbon free. We're surrounded by 600 megawatts of wind turbines, not at this farm, but at several farms in this region, that really give us a wind in our sails as we think about getting to 100%. But with the reform bill, we think that we can achieve additional certainty. We can achieve our goals faster. We can move more quickly to get the much needed transmission infrastructure that's going to unlock renewables across our region to get to our ultimate goal of 100% by 2040. So I think that we're going to be able to move faster. We're going to meet the rising tide of demand growth for the product that we sell, which we haven't seen in 17, 18 years. But with building electrification, with onshoring of manufacturing, with data center load growth, never before have we seen such demand for the product that we sell. And I think that the bill that this coalition passed and supported is going to position us to capture so many of those benefits for our customers, for our region, and achieve the 2040 legislation's goal of getting to 100% carbon free. Thanks.
Yeah, go for it.
Governor, I can ask you a question. Sure. Late in the legislative session, there was, an effort to overturn a PUC rule related to community solar gardens that kind of got tied up talk about that? There was a ruling that will save XL ratepayers hundreds of millions of dollars. At the same time, there were people worried about the cost to cities and support the solar program, the cost to subscribers. Can you just talk about that sort of latent game and also just your view on that ruling?
Yeah, a lot of things are like the game. Is Senator Friends looking over my shoulder right now? Look, this is how it works. There's a lot of things happen. I'd let the senators more of an expert on this. So that we were just trying to get to the goals again of making sure that we were allowing these community solar projects to work and making sure that they made sense financially, making all those pieces that were moving. And late in the session, a lot of things did start to move. And I think the determination we had was that we were moving in the right direction, stay where we're going, keep things going. And I don't know, Nick, if you want to say anything, because you and I had conversations on this. We had work with our team.
Thank you, Governor. Thanks, Walker. Here's what I'd say. A lot of things get brought up in the last few weeks of session, and they're important. And the reason they're brought up is we have legislators that care deeply about our climate policy and about making our goals make a difference to people. What I'd say about that issue in particular is we have the House and Senate who are saying we need to get this permitting bill done. And I want to take my hat off to Representative Long for saying the people out there don't want to hear about your dancing around in the legislative session. They don't know what did you do for me. And what we got done was the permitting bill. And without the House and the Senate and Governor Walz, we're not going to have it. We'll continue to have discussions about reliability, affordability, and clean energy, all of us. And we'll have a lot of things brought up. Stay tuned, Walker.
This legislature showed just a lot of professionalism. I'm going to give a plug. I just think in where I just came from, talking to the League of Cities, these legislators, and again, I know we sometimes cover the planes that crash, not the ones that land. They've landed a lot of planes. And I just want to thank them for the disaster assistance contingency account that the legislators put into play. This year they did something when we needed it, that account will automatically refill at the end of the fiscal year. We'll see a couple days here, and then we'll get the numbers on that. And our anticipation is that'll be an additional $50 million that can go to the flood fight and things that come up. And then I'm going to leave directly from this event and go down to Preston, where we're going to open the state's newest veterans home that was authorized by this legislature, caring for our veterans as we spread more of those opening in Minnesota than any place else in the country. So again, they are able to multitask. I think the senator's right. Some things got kind of put aside as we needed to get prioritizing and triage the legislative session, but we'll come back at it. You gonna go take a look?
Yeah, we're gonna go take a look at that turbine over there.
Thank you. Good work, everybody.
Thank you.